We're shooting this They Write by Night at the end of Joe Biden's and Kamala Harris's first full day in office and the beginning of a new era. And though this episode is called The One That Got Away, that's a reference to personal matters between 2 or 3 little people, maybe more, whose problems don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. But on a grand scale, this was the election that did not get away from us, though some folks out there tried every dirty trick known to man or woman. Thank you, South Carolina Rep. Jim Clyburn, who just as the new president was about to go down, was just about finished, after losing Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada, stepped in at the last possible moment and pulled in his voters and said, "We know Joe, but more importantly, Joe knows us." And Biden won South Carolina, and his demoralized supporters returned, and it was up and up and up forever after. That just demonstrates how one little event, a choice somebody makes, can change history. So now that history has been changed, and for the better, I am in such a good mood.
I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, Yankee Doodle do or die.
My question is, how can I ever again get into a noir mood? I mean, now that we're entering the era of the good, the very good, and the relatively good, what happened to all that darkness? Oh, I forgot. January 6th. Forever to be known as Hell Opened Up and All the Unattractive Little Devils Are Here Day. And not all of them were storming the halls of the Capitol. We're not going to run out of noir anytime soon. But the funny thing, when you see the real darkness that exists in civilization and humanity, and you get a good look at it, damn, it's not glamorous like it is in the movies. You know what I mean? Now, I'm in a good mood for another reason. Not only because of the upturn in global affairs, also because I have such a cool poem from Lory Bedikian in this journal right here. Very first, in fact, issue number 1 of Miramar, edited by Christopher Buckley again, that name that comes up every now and then. Now this time around, I brought notes with me. Usually I'm anti-note. I'm anti-note on principle, but then you know what? I forget. I forget certain details that I want to remember. So this time you're going to get all the best details. Lory Bedikian, whose poem I'm about to read, she won the Philip Levine Poetry Prize. That's another name that comes up every now and then. Philip Levine, amazing poet. I studied with him. Her work has appeared in the Best American Poetry blog. I'm going to say that again, the Best American Poetry blog. Something else about the Best American Poetry blog. You know who's in it also? Me and David Lehman. Both he and I are in it together in a series called Why Poets Love Noir. Several, dozens and dozens of poets love noir. And Lory Bedikian is in there as part of this series. This has a beautiful name, Where My Dreaming and My Loving Live, Poetry and the Body. Her recent poems have been in the Los Angeles Review and Moria, M-O-R-I-A, that's online. I've been in that. That's a good one. That's a good online literary journal. And in poets.org, yay, poets.org. You can have adventures if you go to poets.org. And in the Knopf anthology, Borderlines, poems of migration. All of that is part of Lory Bedikian's claim to fame, as well as the fact that she's married to William Archilla, and part of William Archilla's claim to fame is that he's married to the poet Lory Bedikian. This is called What It's Like Listening to Lester Young. We would play you some music of the great, immortal tenor sax player Lester Young, but we don't own it. The only music we own was written especially for us by Child M. And that's enough. We own that beautiful piece of music. What It's Like Listening to Lester Young. Between 5th and 6th Street, where cabs run stoplights, where liquor store owners lean, street people chum around, there's a small no-name dive known as the Swig. And I'm sitting at the bar, my black dress wrinkled, my hair a mop, one high heel moping far below my foot. And I know, and the bartender knows, it's not a good idea to ask me anything. So instead, he refills a vodka mix straight to my glass, extra olives, wipes the bar as if to say, "We're keeping it clean, sweetheart." I guess he knows this scene. It must be the way I came in with vaudeville, cursing all men in my bebop boogie rhythm, wet polka dots on my handkerchief, mascara running like drenched moonbeams, perhaps the request for 50 martinis to toast the 50 louses I was completely wrong about. This goes on until I begin to blame the devil that my lighter won't work. A cigarette dangling off my lower lip, and he enters. At first, I want to hate him. I want him to try something foolish, just so I can say I once slugged a guy at the Swig. But he's got this walk, an easy-does-it kind of saunter, straight out of a black and white flick, cool bass notes that make you inhale, exhale, a long drag of smoke. The walk's coming my way. He's got a suit the color of a city's night sky, a necktie on holiday, a chin that could gamble and win a bet on anything, a reckless trench coat, a hat you want to tilt when you get to know him by name. He's so beautiful. I wish my shoe was on. He pulls a lighter out of that coat, his hand as slow as a tango, flame to tip like a paper moon on fire. Halfway through my puff, he walks away. The nerve of some guys, I mumble. He thinks he's so hep, so sophisticated, thinks one little thing can send me, then I'm easy to figure like a faucet, thinks he's number 51. Fat chance. I'm just... What nerve. As if he's Aladdin's lamp and I've got ballads in my eyes, stardust on my sleeve, as if he's the only thing east of the sun. Men are funny that way, thinking one little spark's a symphony, that I would be so impressed watching him float right back out that door, taking his walk with him. So fun. So mellow. This is such a good poem. This is a good poem. You want to know if a poem's good? Look for detail, imagery, and in this case, this kind of poem, does it create that physical world so you can see it, you can hear it, you can touch it, you can practically smell it. Voice, it's got voice, right? So this got me thinking. First of all, got me thinking about how I've seen a lot of poems in the voice of a femme fatale, usually poems by women who are rethinking the era of noir, which was an era dominated by men, as you've all noticed. Quite a few of them are. And finding their way into that character and making new discoveries about her. But this is the first poem I've seen by a woman about the potential femme fatale where the woman gets taken down a peg. She doesn't get what she wants. She doesn't get to wrap the man around her little finger. And then the other side of that is maybe it's just as well, because she's had 50 bad experiences. So maybe she's not a femme fatale. Maybe she's a woman that's gotten mixed up with 50 homme fatales. But this story didn't happen because the guy walks in out of the sunlight, apparently, lights her cigarette, and walks out again. Why? Why? We don't know. Think about that a minute. I'm going to just give you a chance, because I have to have a little of this. It's got alcohol in it, and I need a little bit of alcohol every now and then. Not that I'm hooked, but it does me no harm every now and then. So why does he walk out? Maybe he's got places to go, things to do. Maybe he's got a wife that he loves. Have you ever thought of that? Maybe he doesn't approve of women who smoke. We'll never know. It'll be an enduring mystery. But it got me thinking of how time and chance determine which way things are going to go. Just like if Jim Clyburn had not come out and spoken on behalf of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris at that exact moment in history, history could be very different. So I started thinking, first of all, about The Killers. You remember The Killers. We've talked about that before, where Burt Lancaster playing the Swede and Ava Gardner looking very attractive, playing Kitty when they see each other for the first time. How it all could have been so different.
Jake tells me you're a fighter.
Do you like the fights?
I'm afraid I've never seen one.
No kidding.
I hate brutality, Mr. Anderson. The idea of two men beating each other to a pulp makes me ill.
I saw all Swede's fights.
How wonderful of you. I could never bear to see a man I really care for being hurt.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
She's beautiful.
Yes.
she said she could never bear to see a man that she cares about hurt in the ring. But he didn't ask her if it would be okay for her to steal all a man's money after she set him up to be murdered. He forgot to ask that. It slipped his mind. So if only he'd had the intuition about her, but he didn't. If only he had gone home with that nice woman he walked in with who loved him. But no, he did not have that intuition. And when women look like that, like Ava Gardner, especially in that dress, any intuition they have does them no good. But you think about it, if only he'd gone home with that woman he came in with, he would have lived. So then we'd have no story. The story would have gone like that, poof, vanished. He lives, but no story for us. I also started thinking about Out of the Past, that moment, that first moment that Jeff Bailey, there in that little cantina in Acapulco, sees Kathy Moffat come in, played by Jane Greer. And after that, his destiny is gonna be written, right?
Near the plaza was a little cafe called La Mar Azul, next to a movie house. I sat there in the afternoons and drank beer. And then I saw her.
Not that clip. Not that one. The other one.
Near the plaza was a little cafe called La Mar Azul, next to a movie house. I sat there in the afternoons and drank beer. I used to sit there half asleep with the beer and the darkness. Only that music from the movie next door kept jarring me awake. And then I saw her, coming out of the sun. And I knew why Whit didn't care about that 40 grand.
Do you believe it, please?
Sí, señorita.
Señorita, señor, may I speak some words? You will be seated, señor, eh? Yes?
With pleasure, senor.
So I'm thinking, you know, what if that music that is playing on the other side of the wall, what if at the moment Kathy Moffat walks in to La Mar Azul, coming in out of the sunlight, the music at that moment isn't loud enough to wake him up, and he sleeps through the whole thing, and she comes in, sits down, has a meal, and leaves, and they never meet. He would live. He wouldn't die in a hail of gunfire. She would probably die in a hail of gunfire anyway, but he would live. But no story. The story would not unfold. So it would work out for him, but not for us. And then I started thinking about naturally. And you all know where I'm going with this. How can I not think about Double Indemnity and Phyllis Dietrichson, played by Barbara Stanwyck, and Walter Neff, Fred McMurray. How, now, in terms of what could or could not happen and how destiny could have played out differently, I think it's almost destined that he would knock on that door sooner or later, because it's on his beat. He's an insurance salesman, right? And it's on his beat, so why wouldn't he? But what if when he does on that day, he can't push past that very stubborn maid who answers the door, tries to block him, Nettie? He could, But what if on that day he weren't in the mood to just push past this maid named Nettie? It all could have been different. Or, well, not really, because he probably would, because he's that kind of insurance salesman. He's very assertive, aggressive. He would probably mow anybody down in his path to make his sale, sign somebody up. But what if he got in there and Barbara Stanwyck comes out, Phyllis Dietrichson, in her towel, just as it really happens, and at the balcony, just like Juliet at the balcony, and he's like Romeo down there, and she gives him that sultry, come hither look, and he's gay. This story would not unfold. There'd be no story. And he would live. He would, right? He would live. They would not shoot each other, all of that. And so, isn't that interesting? And how does that play out in all of our lives, I wonder? I sometimes think, how many times have I narrowly escaped death? Maybe more times than I'll ever know. This poem by Lory is a poem about a woman who doesn't get her man. There was a situation I didn't get my man. That's for damn sure. And I want to tell you what it is right now, very fast, and don't spread it around. But I was 19, and I was in Paris. And I was on public transportation in Paris and didn't speak French. But I needed to get somewhere. I tapped somebody on the shoulder, and I said in my English or my bad French, I don't remember which one it was, how do I get to some place? How do I get here? And this man turned around. This man turned around. And even though I was a mademoiselle, he said, "Oui, madame." Call me madame. Now, right now, I'd rather be called mademoiselle. But when I was 19, it was very glamorous to be called madame. Oui, madame. He was the most beautiful man I have ever seen in my life. I was speechless, and I pointed at where I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go there anymore. Really, I just wanted to go with him. But that was not an option, because he had another place to go. He was on public transportation. He was more beautiful than Alain Delon. Much more. I mean, no comparison. So, you know what? I have remembered that man and that face all my life. But, and this should be something encouraging, something nice for all of us to think about. Most of us have had that situation where somebody got away from us. The guy got away. We never got to meet the beautiful man. We never got to meet the beautiful woman. But how do we know that if we had gone off with the beautiful man, the beautiful woman, we might be dead? Think about it. All these other people, they went off with the beautiful woman, and then they went down in a hill of gunfire. So see, it could be that we're alive today because we didn't get it. They got away. They're the ones that got away, but we're still alive. And our story gets to unfold. So Lory Bedikian's poem and Jim Clyburn's impact on the election of an American president and many events in my life and everybody's life on the world stage and personally, it just got me thinking about time and chance. And when I thought about time and chance, you know what I thought about? I have it right here. I have it right here in my pocket. When I think about time and chance, I think about Ecclesiastes 9:11. Now, this is my favorite biblical quote. It's one of just 4 that I know, so it doesn't have a lot of competition. But this is my favorite one of the 4 that I know, and it goes like this. Again, I saw that under the sun the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent. That sure is hell the truth. Nor favor to those with knowledge. But time and chance happen to them all.
I'll remember you, honey. You're the one that got away.
Should say usually, or maybe sometimes, or maybe not always. Should say, again I saw that under the sun the race is not always to the swift. I think I'm going to make that revision right now to the Bible. It should say always. The race is not always to the swift, nor the battle always to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, nor favor to those with knowledge. But time and chance happen to them all. It's beautiful. It's beautiful anyway, but even better with my revision.